All right, so I'm really excited to talk about this. There is a lot of things that I'm going to be talking about today, and they all tie in together. So hopefully you can stay tuned for all of it and really get the whole gist of what I want to talk about. We're going to be talking about menstruation, and we're going to be talking about sensuality and your aesthetic. All of these things tie in, and my channel is mostly attracts women. So if you're a man watching this and you don't want to hear about menstruation, then just click off. This is such a huge topic that needs to be talked about in women culture, and it's not, because it's shamed and put down, and there's so many aspects of womanhood, of femininity that is completely shut away, that's completely shut down and not talked about because it's just shameful. So let's get into it. So the first topic I want to talk about is that we are a different person every week. Your hormones fluctuate, and it just makes for a little bit of chaos throughout the month. And that is totally normal. It is totally normal to have different levels of energy, to want different things every week, to do different things every week, because you have different levels of hormones. If you've ever seen a chart of your hormones throughout the month, it's literally a roller coaster. And since I've been tracking them, I've realized that how are we ever going to know how to, or like what to expect from ourselves, from our life, from our partners, from our family, if we don't know what our hormones are doing? And you don't need a graph to know that. You can just track it based on, when was your last period and things like that. So the reason that I'm talking about this, because my channel is based on self-actualization. If you really tap into this part of yourself, of health and wellness, then you can really expand yourself in the realm of self-actualization and tap into your femininity in ways that you've never done before. The feminine culture is all about slow down and things like that. But if you're a creative, if you're an entrepreneur, that can be so challenging. And what does that look like week to week? So that's something that I'm going to be talking about. Um, but another thing is that we have been suppressed since children, for the most part, most of us. Some women out there are lucky, but I have a feeling if you're watching this, you were suppressed as a child, from really tapping into who you are as a woman and all that that entails. And something that I really want to do for my children is be able to have a coming of age ceremony for them, where they feel that the change that's happening in their life, from going from childhood to adulthood, is really embraced and celebrated. And it's a mark that they know they need to transition from, or not that they need to, but they are transitioning from this childlike state into this more grown-up state, where there's going to be so many physical changes, so many hormonal changes, so many life changes that need to be celebrated, that need something to mark this next phase of their life. And most people do not get that, especially in America. We do not celebrate coming of age. And that this is a huge thing in tribes, in cultures where they are living in villages. It's a very important thing. And the hunter-gatherer tribes were the ones that initiated this. This is where we come from. So I always like to look back and see, like, what did we do in the hunter-gatherer stages? phase of humanity, because that was such a long period of humanity where we were conditioned and evolved from. So I want to do that for them. I feel like it is so important because so many children, they go into middle school and they're just like, they don't know who they are. They're confused about life. They don't know what these changes are. All they're told is that these body parts are going to make small changes or big changes, and you're going to feel certain ways, and this is how sex works. And it's just like they're missing out on so much of the beauty that comes with this change. They're missing out on the person that they're becoming. And I feel like as I was writing my notes down, I realized that I feel like I need a ceremony, like a coming of age, a coming of realizing my sensuality in a way. And maybe I'll do that. I don't know. That it sounds like a lot of fun. I've never had like something like that, but I really want that for my children. Because as a child, for myself, sensuality was so suppressed. And I was told my parents luckily were the ones that did tell me about these changes, and they took me aside, and my mom made it a more special thing than it would have been to just hear about it in school. Um, However, there were still things that I wasn't aware of. There was still a culture that I lived in. I lived in a Christian culture where you're expected to save your body for marriage. You're expected to dress modestly. And I was very much a people pleaser, and still am working on that. And as a result, I put myself in a position where I did not I did not express that beautiful, sensual part of my feminine nature. And I missed out in a lot of my early womanhood on that, and was very much focused on my masculinity of always doing, trying to make things happen, trying to attract a partner while I was making it work. And I was just not getting anywhere with that. And it wasn't until I got married that I actually really was able to express myself in a sensual way and allow myself to blossom into a woman. Um, I think I was trying to before I got married in a very like surface level way, but there's something about my partner, my husband, who he just is very easygoing and romantic. He's a Libra, so if that makes any sense to you, like he is very like romantic in a lot of ways. And so he's been there to hold space for me to allow that sensual part for me to come out. And how this all ties together is that if we do not have this coming of age ceremony for ourselves, how are we going to know that we need to allow this sensual part of us? How are we going to know that our hormones are going to fluctuate? How are we going to know that we need to dress a certain way in order to feel our best and to attract a partner? And not even like even after you attract a partner, um, your the way you dress, the way you express yourself should be something that you feel good about, something that really taps into that woman nature of yours. And I've gone down a rabbit hole recently of looking into my Venus sign. If you're into astrology, which I have a feeling if you follow my channel, you are totally into astrology, or at least a little bit. um, and the Venus sign is the part of you that is expressive, your aesthetic, how you look to the world. And So if you don't know what your sign is, just go look it up. Look up like Venus sign calculator, and you just put in your information and it'll come up with your sign. And what I found was that my sign is Scorpio, which, if you know what Scorpio is, you know that that is the far opposite from like dressing modestly and dressing, um, like, I don't know. It's the far opposite from dressing modest. I'll just say that. It's very edgy. It's very dark and kind of gothic. And for a while, or I've tapped into this part of me a little bit here and there. It's actually interesting that my art was the first thing that really came up with this aesthetic. My art is very moody, very dark. So that's where it's at with that. But then once I realized that, because I've been looking for my style, my aesthetic for the longest time, and I literally went through my closet the other day and I was like, I have like 10 different aesthetics in here. And I don't think this is helping me whatsoever. I mean, to each their own, whatever you want to do. I love clothes. And I always ask my sister, like, please help me. I don't know how to dress. um, and the reason that I didn't know how to dress was because I was compromised. I was suppressing this sensual, dark, um, moody part of me that wanted to be expressed in this way because it wasn't culturally acceptable where I grew up. So I once I realized that and realized like what my aesthetic is and started dressing that way, like I'm wearing black now, I was just like, yes, this is like, this resonates so much with me. Like I was trying so hard to dress um like a Libra or um a Capricorn. That's who I was trying to dress most like. And it's funny because I have two Capricorn daughters, but their aesthetic is not Capricorn either. It's Scorpio and Sagittarius, which is just going to be so interesting. But anyways, yeah, I think that there's still that side of me. I'm Sagittarius, so there's still that side of me that wants to dress like in whites and travel, accessorizing like baggy pants, which is actually Scorpio too. Um, but anyways, I don't want to like get all into this topic. If you are curious about Venus aesthetics, just go look it up on YouTube. There's so many people that explain it far better than I do. However, my point is that once I tapped into this part of me that I've been suppressing for so long, another part of me came alive and was more confident in who I am, and really just was able to um, live in a way that was in alignment with myself and express to the world a more true, authentic version of myself that I feel like, in a way, like you attract people into your life, and a lot of it is based on how you dress, how you look, how you present yourself. And I think it was confusing a lot of people, because I was dressing in this opposite way of what my aesthetic is. And I think that my true friends, my very intimate friends, know this about me, and they also know the deep parts of me, like how I'm a Gemini moon, and I think they get surprised at like who I am, because I'm kind of quirky and nerdy, but Gemini is very cool and sophisticated and like the popular person in school. Me as a person, I'm totally not like that, but my inner thoughts are. The part of me that is deep within me is pretty cool. Anyways, so let's see. what else I have to say about this? Okay, so as we are tracking our cycles and we are really tapping into who we are as a cyclical being, we can be prepared for this week that's going to be a little bit more lax. This week that's going to be more high energy and be able to get things done. So when we're embracing that waning and waxing part of us, we're going to be able to be more present for ourselves. We're going to be more present for other people in our life, and we're going to be aware of the changes that are in our life. And when we can do this, when we can really lay out, okay, I'm going to change this week. I'm going to be a different person than I was last week. And that's okay. I just need to fully embrace that. I need to fully embrace that I'm going to be really tired this week and I just need to sit in my house. And this is not normal for our culture. Our culture wants so badly for everything to just stay regular, stay the same, have a routine, go to work, come back, clean your house. Like, no. Sometimes there's weeks that your house just needs to be a mess, and that is okay. And I think that a lot of women need to hear that. They need to hear that if my house is a mess, it's okay, because it is. And you just don't have energy in the week to take care of all the things on certain times of the month. And I would really encourage you to look into your cycle to see which week that is, because it's laid out in seasons of the year. So you have your spring, and the spring is when you're coming out of the week after your period. So you're getting more energy, you're coming out, you're blooming, you're blossoming. And then the week after that is where you have a lot of energy, and you should really invest that in getting things done and um, exercising very heavily. And then the week after that is your autumn. So you're going to want to eat more soups. You're going to want to cozy up on your couch. You're going to want to do things that are heavy lifting. So using the extra testosterone that you have for that, for having sex. And then the week after that is your periods, your winter week. So you're going to want to just stay at home. You're not going to want to talk to anyone. You're just going to want to relax into the weakness that you are in that time period, and let your partner know, like, hey, I need you to hold space for me. This is my most sensitive time of the month, and I need you to be present for me because I don't have any energy left to give. And communicating in that way is so beautiful, so helpful. It really, really, really helps relationships when you can tap into, when you can track your cycle and then communicate that to your partner. It is so, so helpful. Um, so when you can do your cycle syncing, when you can celebrate who you are as a woman, when you can show off your sensuality to the world and really feel into what is your true nature, what is it that really wants to come out? Because for me, it was darkness, it was moody, like deep, um, edgy aesthetic that wanted to come forth, that wanted to be seen. And I was suppressing that, I was keeping that hidden because of the expectations that were placed on me from a child. And um, my inner child, my inner self wanted so badly to be fully expressed, be fully seen as a beautiful woman. And this true nature, this true part of me was being suppressed, so I couldn't. So, what part of you is being suppressed? What part of you is not being seen? And then really tap into how you can do that, how you can really fully express yourself to the world in a way that feels authentic to you, a way that feels beautiful. And a lot of times that can feel so uncomfortable at first because you're not used to expressing that vulnerable part of you, or other people told you from a young age that that was inappropriate, that that was wrong. And I've been taking it in stages, you know, like I'm not going to wear a tube top with rhinestones on it yet. Because I'm just not there yet. And maybe I will, maybe I won't. But um, a part of me that was a child still wants to please that culture that I grew up in, of needing to be appropriate and needing to be modest, and preserving your body for your spouse, your future partner. And something that has really given me a fresh breath of air is my husband really loving when I dress up and when I show off a little bit in public or wherever. Not like excessively, like obviously he wants to have all of me to himself, but um, just being able to show off a little bit, to be proud of the woman that I am and the nature of who I am, and tap into that aesthetic that I am as well, you know? So I hope that this makes sense to you. I talked about a lot of different things, but my whole focus on this was that we don't want to suppress our beautiful nature. And a lot of times, um, it's because of the culture that we grew up in. And so if you could have like a little ceremony for yourself, a coming of age ceremony, if you didn't have one of those as a child, what would that look like? You know, like that's so exciting to think about. Like getting together with a group of girls, or, you know, maybe it would be a little bit weird with your family because now you're like an adult, but who knows, maybe that would be special. I don't know. I've never really given it much thought, but that's something definitely to think about, because um, becoming a woman is such a transformative time. Like first you're a maiden and you become a woman after you're a child, and then you become a mother, and then you become a crone, which is an elder, wise woman past her menstruating years, you know. So there's different stages that we go through as women, and they're all so beautiful in each stage. And I feel like um, because we live in such a masculine society, um, these concepts are foreign to us, and it's just something that really needs to be considered, something that really needs to be celebrated and embraced more often. So yeah. And if you're curious about what that ceremony would look like for my children, I already have it planned out. We have Indian heritage in our family, at least in my husband's. And so we're going to do something along that lines, a Native American type of ceremony for them. And we'll take them camping and have like a fire and kind of like a secluded solitude with them. I've heard of mothers where they feed their daughters the whole time. I'm going to cry because it'll be the last time that they feed them, like as a baby. I know I'm getting like so emotional about that, and it's like way down the road. But yeah, there's different things that you can do in a ceremony like that. And it just makes the whole coming of age thing a very sacred thing. Um, so this will not be the last time you see me cry on this channel. I'm a very emotional person, but that was another thing that was suppressed as a kid. I was told I was too emotional. And that is not true. It's never too much. Who you are is divinely perfect. And once we realize that, once we accept who we are and realize that we have a voice and we have an expressive part of us that wants to be seen, wants to be heard, and then listening to that, listening to our inner child to see what it is that they want to be seen and heard as or by, then a part of us comes alive because we are innately connected to our inner child. This was way longer than I thought it would be, and I apologize, but just so many good nuggets in here, so many things that really just need to be talked about. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions about any of the topics that I brought up, please leave them down in the comments. If you have any comments or anything, I'd love to hear them. And if you like talking about this kind of stuff where we talk about femininity, self-actualization, wellness, please subscribe. I love, love, love these topics, and I hope that you do too. So anyways, have a great day.